All right, so we're back. I don't know if this is the reason, but I reseated the cable, the Ethernet cable, into the PC. This could be the reason. I'm not sure. It could be the reason because earlier I took it's one of those puzzle like mats or whatever you want to call it, to just like clean it and wash it and stuff, make sure it's like nicer and shit, because you got all dusty. So to get it completely off, I had to lift the computer, and maybe that messed with the Ethernet cable, because it's an RJ11. RJ11s are not like super trustworthy. So hopefully that was it, and potentially because I lifted the desk and shit, maybe that's like also causing some issues or whatever. Because when I closed OBS, I noticed that even in Windows completely, I was getting no internet. And then when I reseated it the first time, it was giving me like only up to 100 megabytes. And then I completely unplugged it and plugged it back in, and it's now good. Let's see. Hopefully it remains good. It stays good. Because such events piss me off, because I like having a continuous stream without issues. But let's see. Keeping an eye on it. Because it was like being incredibly random, like stuff that never happened before. So far, so good. Whoa. Okay. Console?
Enemy down. Moving. Sorry, impossible.
That's ours.
Urgent backup needed. Frag grenade set. Enemy spotted. Up there.
Oh shit.
Gonna use that zip line.
Not warm, dude. Not warm.
Take off. Watch out! Down here! Danger up there! Bandage ball out! Danger up there!
Going over there.
This rope! Smack!
Oh, fuck.
One down! Throwing!
Ah, man. Something better for range. What's happening with my aim, dude? Okay, good. Ah. Yes, I should definitely be in lobbies with level 100 somethings. Alright, good. We want a power shift. That's sufficient for me. Just do some point breaks. I think that was the reason. I think the fucking Ethernet cable was the reason, because it's been good now. We're playing, stream is on, everything is going on, and no problems now. I think it was the Ethernet cable. Because as you're raising the desk and shit, I need to also check something out here. Hold on. Okay. Because I have the work laptop charger there, and it was going in between the desk, and I don't want that to happen. So it's gonna apply pressure against the cables and shit, and no good. What? Ain't no fucking way, dude. Oh, I'm lucky as hell. I'm so lucky.
Could someone revive me here?
Throwing pyro grenade. Throw it. Danger over here. Enemy down.
Oh, wow. 2 grenade launchers. Fuck yeah, dude. Oh, 3. Incredibly skilled motherfuckers, bro. Can't win, but we can grenade launch.
Enemy spotted down there.
Oh.
Bandage bomb out.
What the fuck is going on today, dude?
Bruce might burn. Sending a frag. Time to disappear.
Shitty, but it worked.
Time to disappear.
Why do I have to get stuck there, bro? It was already a shitty escape plan, and I have to get fucking stuck. Oh my god, what are you doing, bro? What? What?
Revive me, please.
How is that motherfucker shooting me when I'm invisible? Hello? Very, very sus.
A little revive would be nice, maybe? Enemy spotted! Up there!
Missile burn!
If it wasn't for the fucking grenade launcher, dude, I would have killed that asshole. What are you doing here? You're just waiting for the grenade, for the sniper? He left. Go be helpful, perhaps?
Can I get a revive, please?
Time to disappear. Panic bomb out.
Ah, you fucker. He's still looking at this shit. There's no one there, you idiot. There hasn't been anybody there since 1953, dude.
Enemy spotted! Down there!
Nice. Oh, 4 gang members. I'm surprised they didn't win, to be honest. Smurf here. That might be why. Smurf. Alright, yeah, we had 2 Smurfs. Neat. I guess you could be lucky. I guess you could be lucky and win most of your matches as a new player. But my experience was that, like, if I look at my player card here, look, wins 265 at level 63. Like, I only started winning a good portion of my matches when I was like about level 40 something. Before level 40 something, I was still learning the game. I was still trying to understand the game. And anything before level 40 something, like I was at, I don't even think I was at 100 wins, to be honest. I think like these 265 wins, a good portion of them, like probably 60, maybe 100, are coming after I was like level 45, 50. So to have these dudes that are like level 30, level 20 something, having like 200 wins and shit like that, it's very sus. And again, it's no mystery. It's nothing like nobody knows who. It's a underground thing. Yeah, it's known that this game has Smurfs like hell. Now today I was watching a dude stream to get the drops and stuff, and there was a discussion in chat saying that the guy was ruining the game because he was playing normal matches, being like super skilled and shit. And my opinion, bro, is that like first of all, he was playing on his main account, so I don't think that really applies. That applies for Smurfs. if you get to a certain skill in this game, and then when you go play casuals, all of your games are just like incredibly easy, not challenging whatsoever. Like you don't die, you kill everything, and it's just like no challenge whatsoever. That's honestly not on the players, that's on Embark, and they have to figure that shit out. Like they are the ones who have to figure that shit out. They're the ones who have to give the players a better experience. But when you look at the numbers, they just don't have the player base to do like proper matchmaking. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, and then you catch like level 130 something, 140 in a match like this, with level 20 something, level 30 something, where the level 20 something or 30 something are actually doing better than the level 130. So if you think about it that way, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, dude, they're Smurfs. You know what I mean? I don't condemn the people that are like highly skilled with their main accounts playing casuals. I condemn the Smurfs. What I don't like is the Smurfs, because the Smurfs give you like, you think you're going against a player that is new, but you're actually going against someone who's highly skilled with a lot of hours in the game, but they're pretending to be new. That's what I have something against. Not the... Dude, if... Like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna do? You have your main account and you're playing on your main account. Like, what else are you gonna do? Like, are you not gonna play the game? Are you only gonna stick to ranked? Like, I understand, bro. I understand, man. Like, I'm 35. I'm 35 years old. And I don't really care about the competition that much, like in terms of getting fancy shit and numbers going up. I like the competition. I like the action and all of that shit. I just don't care about having, you know, a fancy profile with this and fancy badges and shit. I don't care about that shit, bro. I'm from a different age, different era. Like, I don't give a shit about any of that, you know? But I like the competition, the act of competing against other people. I do like that. So, if I can have faster queues and still have that same thing, that same feeling of competition and stuff, yeah, I'm gonna do it in Point Break, in Power Shift, in cash outs and whatever's. Maybe try a quick cash. It's not the player's responsibility to stop playing certain modes. It's Embark's responsibility as the developers to make sure that the matchmaking system is as fair as possible for everyone involved. And I can sympathize with them with the fact that, you know, considering the amount of players playing this, it's not feasible to have like a lot of systems to pick up players here and there and there and here, and they have to sacrifice on certain things. I understand that, I sympathize with that, but at the same time, it's like, the game's gonna suffer. I guess I could go heavy here. Maybe E4 instead. Get it? What?
Watch out! Down here!
Wait, my team died? What happened? They did. What? Where's my gun at? My gun disappeared. Oh, there it is. Oh. It's gone again.
RPG en route! Shield engaged!
Yeah, we got it. Cool.
Throwing two grenades.
Fuck, dude. It's about to queue. Go, go, don't die. Unlucky.
C4 ready.
They got me. One less enemy.
Not feeling the heavy.
Deeply appreciated.
Brother. Can't even fucking move anywhere, dude.
Going up. Follow me. Time to disappear. Watch out! Up there! Got that one.
Taking damage.
Get. Why are you using that bullshit, dude? Yeah, this is what I. Yeah. They're already there.
Bomb out.
This is too much for me, dude. This is why I don't like this mode, because it's like we're probably three randoms. We're not doing shit. We can't even coordinate or anything against a squad. I don't know, man. Like all level 100 something. Like we're not doing shit, dude. We can't do anything. To be fair, I don't really like this map. And to be fair, I don't have experience with cash out like most the finals players. I got into this shit and I said, fuck this. Dude, this motherfucker doesn't miss one single shot. As soon as I appear there, he just, boom. Look at this shit. Just, oh, he missed one, okay. Like zero chance. It's just very demoralizing, and I do that as well. It's just Point Break. I can feel like I'm actually doing stuff. Here I feel like I'm not doing anything. And there he is again. That's on me, I should have known. Yeah, he just doesn't miss one shot. Nice defense. Wow. Well, it's not the Not the individual. Well, that was the individual skill, but yeah. You just look at the discrepancy between like levels and everything, dude. It's like, you know what I mean? Like I literally felt like I did nothing the whole match, dude. Nothing. And this is the finals main game. This is the one they're going with tournaments and shit. But it's just, you know, for me it's too much shit for my head, bro. Too much shit for my head. Planning where they're probably gonna be and shit, and I think with cash out also, in order to get like better at cash out, you also have to know the maps, the in and outs of the maps. You also have to know like possible entry points and shit and flanks and stuff to plan ahead and whatever. So I think that in order for you to be good at cash out, you have to play a lot of cash out so that you get into those. Because like, you know, point power shift, for example, it's pretty simple. It's a little bit like, you know, player load in Overwatch. Point break, pretty simple. You have the vaults and you have to defend them or capture them and then stop the enemies from, you know, deactivating them or whatever. Yeah. Like that. But it is, I will be honest, it is very demoralizing to get into that match and just like not being able to do shit, dude. Just not being able to do anything. Because it's like, as soon as I start shooting at someone, they're already at a position where they can just safely leave, or maybe I'm at a bad position to attack. Maybe I should be at a better position, I don't know. And when the game began, like inside of that building, I got rezzed. As soon as I get rezzed, there's like an invisible guy with a sniper or whatever shooting at me. Then there's the other team shooting at me as well. Man. Too much shit. Too much shit for me. Alright, let's do some more point breaks, man. That's, to me, that's the superior mode. Let me just try the shirt from the Twitch drops. Try to make it a bit different. It's also this shit. Just rings. Sure. Get it? Seems to be good though in terms of connection and shit. All right. Yeah, I'm sure no one's gonna die. I'm sure no one's gonna die. I wonder what this guy's... Is it this one? Alrighty then. I think they can still... Yep. These guys get to fucking do this shit, bro, and no one kills them. Unbelievable. Bro, how?
This might hurt.
Revive me!
Top fragment.
Bro, what? Is this fucking right click like faster than anyone else's? Is that what this is? Like what the fuck, dude?
Revive?
We need to stop like. Alright, this guy reads minds apparently.
Back in play. Took a hit. One down.
And no one. Alright, no one can kill this motherfucker. Cool. No one can kill the fucking heavy with a sledgehammer. That's awesome. Another mind reader. Great. Yes, don't go stop. Don't go stopping the ones who are dealing with it. Oh my god, bro. Sometimes oh. The guy who said don't die goes 2, 1, 3 and has a combat score of 909. Nice. Nice. Yeah, man. Nothing in that match frustrated me more than the fucking heavy with a sledgehammer killing my entire team and never fucking dying. Like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, how do you not get a heavy with a sledgehammer? I think we and me included, not just, you know, my teammates, but all of us, I think we just kept going one by one against him, and usually he always had someone. But it's also like, how the fuck do you know where everybody is? How do you know where people are? When I play Sledgehammer, I don't know where the fuck people are. Like, they're gonna get pinged and stuff, sure, but like there's no detected going on there. There's nothing like this. How do they know every single time where we are? You know what I mean? Like, it's a bit suspicious. It's a bit suspicious. And it's also the fact that, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to me. It's very weird. Hold on. I'll be right back. Crazy, bro. Like, Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Like, goddamn.
Oh, I'm touching myself tonight.
Dude, that was so good. That was timely. Very good. Because I thought that was my breath.
Oh my
Enjoy.
god. I should have. I know I should have.
Another swing, another miss.
Give me
Okay,
the
okay,
full
okay.
best.
Keep it
Thank you
going,
very
keep it going,
much,
keep it
sir.
going. No
Have
problem. Come
a
back anytime.
wonderful day.
All right, sitting down now. Wanted to stretch my legs a little bit, standing up a little bit, because while working, I was sitting down the whole shift. I got up to go to the bathroom, make food and all that, but yeah. Anywho, I'll play another match. Let's try something here. It's probably going to be the same thing, but just want to give it a shot. Do you have Eastern Europe? No. Alright, actually... let me go medium. Game's a bit choppy here and there.
Up there.
I'm gonna do this right now.
Turret deployed.
For the sake of it. Unintentional, but that looked like I was super smart and shit. But it was not intentional.
Enemy over there.
Gonna use that zip line.
Got one of them. Going over there.
Turret deployed. Deploy motion detector.
Threat detected.
Here we go with the fucking... Is that the Cerberus? It might be. me try something as well.
Deploying jump pad.
Whole team, huh?
Guardian turret active.
Time to bounce. Dematerializing.
Watch out! There! Watch out! Over there!
Jump pad here. Clear. You can keep it. Trap is set.
Taking damage.
Go defensive! Down there! Enemy spotted! Down there!
Lifesaver. Thanks.
Motion sensor online.
Grateful! I'm moving from this zip line! Thank you! Good catch!
Looking for movement.
Thanks a bunch! Could use help! Attack there! You have my thanks!
Oh, is it a gang? No. See how different? How different is this team solo mid? It's like some pro player, or there's no way you're pro player with this score, dude. Like, can you join their groups, their clans, their clubs, whatever they're called? Can you join them randomly? But anyway, so you see how different it goes when it's randoms with randoms? And there could be a party here. There could be somebody grouped up here. Because these are probably like... Maybe not this one, but this is... Looks like definitely an anonymous name here. But it's like... It just goes so freaking differently, dude. You know what I mean? Everybody on my friends list is playing Marathon. Isn't this paid? Don't you have to buy the game? Again, DaVinci is open for some reason. There's got to be some hotkey or something. Okay. Isn't Marathon buy to play? It is, isn't it? It's like 40 euros. Yeah. Nah, bro. I'm good. I'm good. But how many players is there on Steam? It's gonna be 68,000 with a peak of 88,000. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I just doesn't. The game doesn't look cool to me, bro. It just doesn't look cool to me. Looks very meh. And also, I could be wrong, but wasn't Marathon supposed to be a shooter, like an arena shooter, like a hero shooter or something like that initially? I think I first heard about this game like 3-4 years ago, maybe. Let me ask my friend GPT. There were rumors in a brief internal shift toward a hero-style system, but the game was always fundamentally built as an extraction shooter. The confusion came from mid-development changes to how characters worked. When Marathon was revealed in 2023... Okay, so that this has been... Okay, so I thought this has been in development for way longer than that. So, or it was announced way longer than that. Yeah, Bungie described it as a PvP extraction shooter inspired by games like Tarkov. Players would enter raids, collect loot, extract with it. Early concept emphasized customizable characters, bring your own gear and loadouts, extraction style risk reward gameplay. Okay, where the hero shooter rumors came from. Around 2024, reports and leaks suggested Bungie was moving away from fully customizable characters toward a selectable cast of heroes. I don't know, dude. I heard somewhere it wasn't like that. It was like a shooter, bro. Like a, you know, kind of like Concord or something like that. You know, which I understand Concord is a hero shooter. Bungie later clarified that Marathon is not a traditional hero shooter. Instead, it uses runners, classes with a couple of baseline abilities, while players still customize their loadout, implants, weapons, and gear. So the final direction became something like, you know, dude, this could be one of those things where it's like, oh, you know, it was supposed to be like this all along and stuff, and yeah. Like a lot of development studios, they will change the route of their games because of other games being popular. As we saw with Fortnite, for example, right? Fortnite was being developed to be what Dance Save the World became. And they prioritized over everything the Battle Royale. Because Battle Royales were incredibly popular. So it's not unheard of for studios to do this. And unless there's people internally leaking something and saying like, oh, you know, yes, in fact, we were supposed to do it like this, but then we saw something's happening and stuff, the shift in the different genres and whatnot, and then we decided to go with this route instead. Until we get anything like that, it's just speculation, and the rumors were this, the rumors were that. I don't know. I somehow in my mind I just have the idea that Marathon was always intended to be just an arena shooter, something like that. Close quarter combat or something. But definitely not what it is today. Yeah, I'm definitely not paying 40 fucking euros for that shit. Nope. Nope. I'm good. I'm good. I also kind of want to go for something else. A good tune. Where is this from? Ah, Turbo Overkill. Makes a whole lot of sense then. I think I might just chill and watch some shit, dude. To be honest. I might just check some vids and stuffs. So let me see here. Let me change stuff here. All right. Okay. The finals is failing. Take a gander. Never watched it. First time. Let's go. Tell me, sir.
Well, I guess the finals is failing. Let's talk about it. Because lately over these past few weeks, I've been seeing post after post, comment after comment, and video after video dropping with people sharing their own personal takes and concerns when it comes to the state of the game right now. And well, it's really no surprise as to why. Because with around 12,000 players on average, a slow drip of new content, and no real noticeable game changes since 2024, it's really no wonder as to why people are starting to feel like the world's greatest game show, that was once way too big and too interesting to fail, has now turned into what feels like the world's greatest decline. However, I think we can change that, because out of the sea of reasons that people have been giving, I think I found the three that's holding Embark and the finals back from unlocking their true potential in the overall gaming market. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in and talk about why I believe the finals is failing. Now, when I was researching everything for this video, the one thing that surprised me the most was just the sheer number of problems that y'all pointed out as the reason why the finals is collapsing. With many of the stances and takes made ranging from things like lack of advertising, all the way to stuff like smurfing and cheating. And while I feel like most of them carry some weight behind them, I think our first point is one that I think every single player can agree on in one way, shape, or form. That, of course, being
lack of content?
The balancing.
Oh.
Now, when I talk about the balancing of the finals, I'm not only referring to the gameplay aspects like classes, weapons, specials, and gadgets, but I'm also referring to the balancing of hardware through the entire game itself, like server issues with Error 500, high latency lag spikes, connection failures, phantom hits, packet loss, and last but certainly least, the dreaded Unity game engine crashing for absolutely no reason. Now, before I really say much more on the issue, I should start by saying that I won't even pretend Unity game engine packet loss, and last but certainly least, the dreaded Unity game engine crashing for absolutely no reason.
Unity. This is Unreal 5, brother. Is it not? Yeah. Or is he saying UE? And I'm thinking Unity. Really sounds like Unity.
The dreaded Unity game engine crashing for absolutely no reason. Now, before I really say much more on the issue, I should start by saying that I won't even pretend like I know how to perfectly balance everything in this game. However, I can say, as the average player, I believe the issue is that each and every character feels overpowered and overwhelming in their own special little way, whether it's having high DPS, strong range, or full-on disruption. And yes, before all you finals purists out there hop in the comments and start
No,
saying
I
I
agree.
have no idea what I'm even talking about, let me explain. While I get that the high-paced and high-intensity combat is what makes the appeal of the finals stand out, I just think that the average person shouldn't have their reaction time tested like they're completing a QTE. I mean, the strength of everything a class provides should be
Fair
based
enough.
around an equal and opposite reaction that they can give. But I digress, because getting back on topic with the quote-unquote fixing the
I'm not the smartest guy, but I guess I can understand his point where he's saying that there should be some stuff in the game that is a bit better for like players who are not necessarily these super fast, crazy, ADHD overlords and stuff, right? Yeah, I can get behind that personally, but I like the movement. I like the abilities that are fast-paced and stuff myself. It's fun. But there is definitely a curve that you have to get to prior to being able to use these things optimally, which I definitely still need to get there. But I can see his point, if that's his point that he's making here. Because a lot of players are going to get into the game and they're going to be like, what is going on, dude? And especially if you're a new player and you don't understand like all of the stuff just yet, you might have seen the game somewhere. You might have seen a post of the game. You might have seen, I feel like when Moist Critical, Penguin Zero, Charlie, whatever, when he made his video about the finals, that was like the greatest opportunity to boost the game to like new heights. But I feel like a lot of the people, like a significant amount of the people that probably jumped into the game because they watched his video, they just felt like, nah, not for me. And so the player base kind of stayed the same, The accounts are going to grow up. Like the accounts number are going to grow, but what matters is the concurrent player base.
balancing, if I can really describe my personal stance when it comes to that, it's this. There will never be such a thing as a perfect balancing system. Because
True.
with 37 weapons, 36 gadgets, and 10 unique specializations, it's really just a headache of moving parts to try and just adjust everything and make each
And it doesn't
every
have to
single
be,
piece
bro.
play nice with one another. And
It
as
doesn't
well,
have to be.
The one thing that I believe most players forget when it comes to balancing is that players are just really creative. Because even if you change a weapon's damage numbers from a 1 to a 2, or vice versa, there will be a slew of players ready to pick up on it and take advantage. And
Yep.
similarly, if you try and change how a gadget fundamentally works, there will be just a new shift in how it's applied in combat. Like a great example, when players lost the ability to make nukes with attached C4, they reviewed the patch notes and adapted to it by holding and placing C4 barrels on top of cash outs to make an extremely hard-hitting combo that disrupted how players approach steals.
Yep.
And that's only one example out of the many that were made over the seasons. However, to wrap things up, with a creative and dedicated community such as the finals, any build will of course have its metas, strengths, weaknesses, and issues.
There's some
However, it's the
crazy
delay in
stuff, man.
addressing and fixing those issues that's causing many players to feel like the game is unbalanced and unfun to play, with many longtime players stating that is the exact reason as to why they're choosing to leave the game. But with that, I wanted to find out about the other side, the newer player.
I can't really complain too much about like server issues and stuff, but it's because I'm not really like sweating my ass off like in everything. I'm trying to win combat. I do my best to win combat one-on-one. If there's two enemies, I try to like, do as much damage as possible or even kill somebody and then ditch. But I'm not like super into the thing and oh my god, I have to, like, the servers have to be 110%, optimal and stuff. But I get his point. I've witnessed some rubber banding, but not a lot.
What's causing them to feel like the game is busted? Well, that leads me to the second reason why I believe the finals is failing: the rough new player experience.
That's one
Now,
of the biggest
when
things.
it comes to this section, I believe the biggest difficulties causing newer players to leave the game mainly stems from 2 talking points. And surprisingly enough, the first one is the one that every single player has gone through before even attempting to play the game. That being
Tutorial.
the tutorial.
Yep.
Now, while I know some of y'all are probably thinking this is a moot point, I promise it's relevant. Because while the new tutorial is definitely a huge improvement from where it used to be, I still think it's lacking in some major areas that I believe can help newer players be successful.
I think the best way to do a tutorial would be a controlled sort of co-op match. I think. Yeah, I didn't even think about it thoroughly or anything. It's just like coming out of my ass. But I do legitimately think that if you gave new players like a co-op match with bots from like low to medium difficulty, so that when people go into that stuff, they can feel like a bit more like the actual match feels like. You know what I mean? Or maybe a few more matches, maybe like 2 or 3, maybe 5, I don't know. But maybe the difficulty of the boss could increase as they progress through these matches or something like that. But definitely the way the tutorial is, and I didn't do this new tutorial because I joined before it, so I didn't have to. But I had a friend of mine join the game and he went through the newest tutorial, and even through the tutorial he was confused. You know, some people are not going to jump into the game and just have the mindset of like understanding everything. They just might just want to like have kind of a brainless experience, you know what I mean? I don't know, man. And also like because you have team deathmatch, you have Point Break, Power Shift. I guess they really want to focus on the cash out.
Because although the current tutorial system covers the basic rules and mechanics of modes like Quick Cash, none of it really teaches any of the minor parts of the game that make a huge impact.
Yep.
Things like player movement and positioning, specific strengths and strategies between classes, or even things like elemental counterplay between things like fire, gas, goo, glitch, or smoke.
Yep.
And look, I'm not asking for Embark to give us the IGN Game Reviewer Special or anything, but at the very least, I'd like them to add some things to the tutorial that can update the way new players can engage. Because as a newer player, once you load into your first match, you're put into many different positions that are way beyond the scope of what the current tutorial prepares you for.
Yep.
However, in saying that, I would expect that a multiplayer game with a strong competitive element like the finals would properly ease new players in order to gain some sort of relevant skill and experience. Right? Well, surprise, bucko, you'd be wrong about that one. Because when it comes to the real issue that's causing newer players to drop the game, it actually comes from our second and most troubling point, the finals' matchmaking system. Or rather, the lack thereof. Because just like almost any other multiplayer game out there, the current...
I do think the system does try to pair you with similar levels in the beginning, but you do get big. Again, the player base is small and shit, so like they can't give you a or it's not that they can't give you. They're prioritizing quick matches rather than quality of matches. So basically, yes, they could potentially give you a match with like only lower levels as for a new player, but then again, you're going to suffer from smurfs. So it's never going to be, unless you get rid of the smurfs, which probably they won't because it's numbers to show for. But yeah, so they could definitely do that. They could definitely do like at least for the first maybe 10 matches, it's just, you know, new players with new players, maybe a bit slower match making search. But you're going to deal with smurfs. but at least you might catch like a few matches that are good this way. I think for the newer player, bro, for the new player, the experience has to be better. Like it's there is no debate about that. The new player experience is hideous because you complete the tutorial, you want to jump into a match, and you're going against level 100 somethings and whatnot, and you have no idea what's happening, no idea what's going on. You have limited skill sets and stuff, and it's like you got some dude jumping with a grapple from a crane, dropping on you from the sky with a fucking double shotty and just one shots you, and you're like, what just happened? And experience is not
The
very
system
good.
in place for the finals is something called skill-based matchmaking. Now, for all you resident gamers out there, you probably already know what this is. But to explain for all you fellow casuals,
I mean, it exists for
skill-based
ranked.
matchmaking, or SBMM, is an algorithm in online multiplayer games that pairs
I think the problem is that for you to get to ranked, you have to play normal, like quick cash out or other matches, right? You can't just You can't just jump into ranked cash out, because I think if you could, as soon as you beat the tutorial, if you could jump into ranked cash out, maybe you could soften the blow for the new players. But a lot of new players don't really want to deal with all the rank shit and whatever. They just want to have some fun and whatever. And you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe they don't even care about casual players, bro.
players of similar skill levels together to
they
ensure a
should.
more fair, balanced, and competitive play in their matches. Using metrics like win-loss ratios, KDR, and in some cases, engagement data to create engaging matches and prevent newer players from becoming overwhelmed.
Skill-based matchmaking is not that great, to be honest. Because let's say you jump into a match, right? And you're a brand new player, you've never played the finals, but you have some experience with Counter-Strike, you have some experience with maybe Overwatch, Valorant, whatever other shooter games, PUBG, Fortnite, whatever. And you jump into a few matches of the finals. Skill-based matchmaking is working, giving you a slightly longer queue, but should technically be quality matches. You're probably going to have 4 to 5 good matches, but you have some experience, so you're not going to be completely clueless. You might be clueless regarding the gadgets, the specializations, and all that kind of stuff, but regarding shooting and stuff like that, you're actually quite good. So you're getting kills despite not really understanding like what's going on for the most part. Once you've done 4 to 5 matches, what's essentially going to happen is the game is going to be like, this guy's good. He's probably a smurf. Let's boost this fucking shit up to like his supposed level. And then guess what? You're going against players way more experienced than you, and now it's not just having aim and being able to kill with the guns. Now you actually need the knowledge of the gadgets, of the specialization. And now you're in a skill level with the skill-based matchmaking that it doesn't belong to you because you're a brand new player. So yes, you have the aim to get kills against players who also might not know too much about the gadgets and specializations, but now you're going against people with knowledge way above what you have, and it's going to be a complete mess as well because you're not going to know what the hell to do. You know what I mean? So skill-based matchmaking in theory is better, but I think there should be a system that is kind of like how Nosgoth did it is like, to me, the best example, which again, it's predominantly going to be filled with Smurf. Especially in the finals. I think Smurfs were not that big of a deal in Nosgoth. But what Nosgoth did was up to level, I think it was 15, or maybe even 30. But up to level 15 or 30, you had a special queue that was just for those levels. So from level 1 to either 15 or 30, once you hit 15 or 30, I don't remember which, then you are released to the wolves, because now you're assumed to have enough experience to be able to play the game properly. I think this is a good way to do it, because you're still going to deal with Smurfs. Like there's no way to unless banning Smurfs when they're detected, it's impossible to get completely rid of Smurfs. Like they're always going to exist in games like this. But besides the Smurfs, you're going to probably deal with people within your skill range. And I think it's much better than skill-based matchmaking, because if you have some like skill aiming and shooting and stuff like that, you're going to be put into a skill level that just doesn't belong to you. But if you have this like range of levels to basically practice the game, I think you could actually get to something. I don't know. It's just, I think this would be a good idea for new players.
By experienced ones. But to showcase how that works in the finals, an example would look something like this. Imagine you're a player in Silver Rank with over 500 hours and queue into a quick cash match. The skill-based matchmaking system views that data and will subsequently pair you with players of equal or similar data. Now in theory, this is how it should work. However, let's go ahead and change that. You're a newer player. You just got done with the most bare bones cut and dry tutorial ever and get escorted into trying your very first quick cash match, thinking that you'll be put in with the lower tier squads to get your bearings and learn the game in a lower stakes environment, only to then get queued in and smashed by 2 rubies, 1 gold, and 3 unranks with over 1,000+ hours to their name. You see? Doesn't really sound fair, does it? And while I hate to say it, that's just the kind of thing you'll have to expect in the finals in this current state. And of course, if you're a newer player getting dunked on and yelled at in every single match you queue into, I assure you, by the 10th one, most of y'all will probably want to pack it up and call this game washed before even giving it a second chance.
Yep.
But even if you can handle all that, I'm sure our third and final talking point has got to be the most damaging to the finals by far. Gamers, let's talk about the lack of content. Now, the reason as to why I say this is the most damaging point of them all is because it contains the greatest sin to gaming that leads players to quit more often than not. And that's boredom.
Yep.
Because whether it's the overabundance of limited time events, the slow drip of new weapons and gadgets across the board, or just not giving the medium any new specializations a full 9 seasons into the game. I mean, Embark, what the fuck? There's plenty of different examples that players point to when I say the words lack of content. And in my opinion, all of them are pretty valid. Because when it comes to gaming as a whole, the one thing that every title and game company has to keep up with is relevancy. Constantly upping the ante to stay in the spotlight and offer something new, or to try and maintain and pump out new changes in content to keep current players happy to stay. However, as of late, it feels like more and more players are getting annoyed with Embark's delayed release of new and interesting things, as well as their lack of transparency to the issue at hand. With many in the finals community subreddit currently making multiple posts stating in some form or another that Season 10 in some way, shape, or form needs to add something new in order to be a massive success. And now
they did add Point Break recently, which is awesome, but it needs more maps. And actually, was it yesterday that I talked about this? Or was it just by myself when I was having like one of those monologues between work as I'm watching content? But anyway, so what I'm doing right here, sometimes I do by myself with no streams on or making videos or anything. But I was thinking like one thing they could do is like basically a map rotation for Point Break. They could add 3 maps on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. And so what my thought process for this is because like if they add all the maps, eventually people are going to get too good at those maps and they are going to just destroy and be too sweaty and stuff. And if you want to keep Point Break fun, when you have map rotations, weekly or bi-weekly, there's a good chance that like within this week or these 2 weeks, people get good enough in the maps that they're added for. but they're not like too good. I don't know. They could be. They could be autistic and like just understand mathematically where everything is and shit. And just like, no offense to autistic people, it's just like mathematically they're gonna like understand everything and stuff. Well, us dummies are just trying to have some fun and shit. But yeah, dude, like map rotation, 3 maps each week or each 2 weeks, and then add 3 more, and then add 3 more, and then once you've reached to the point where you've added all of the maps for the finals that are good for Point Break, because maybe some maps in the finals are not good for Point Break, but once you've added all the good Point Break maps from the finals originally, then you can start like rotating those as well. Again, weekly or bi-weekly. I think that could work. I don't know. I'm not a dev. It's just one of those ideas that you just have randomly and stuff. Also, let me just check something out here real quick. There's something weird. Yesterday. Wait, what? Okay, it's working. Good. It is in fact working. Nice.
While I can agree that adding something new to the game would be great, my greatest fear, however, is that it'll just make us end up in the exact same situation that we're in now, with many players, old and new, flooding back in to try out the new map, weapon, mode, etc. that gets announced, only for the hype to eventually die back down and balance out to reflect the same congruent player numbers as before. And it's that I want to avoid. So with that being the case, that I can agree that it needs to add something new in order to be a massive success. And now, while I can agree that adding something new to the game would be great, my greatest fear, however, is that it'll just make us end up in the exact same situation that we're in now, with many players, old and new, flooding back in to try out the new map, weapon, mode, etc. that gets announced, only for the hype to eventually die back down and balance out to reflect the same congruent player numbers as before. And it's that I want to avoid. So with that being the case, I offer a different solution for Embark to roll out instead. And the best part is, they already have about 90% of the work already done. My solution? Turn every single one of your limited time LTE game modes into a permanent arcade playlist for players to enjoy. Because like not only can Overwatch. You keep every single casual style game mode that everybody already knows and loves, but it also solves one of the major problems that I discussed in my Is the Finals Too Competitive video, where I said in no uncertain terms that offering newer players an array of casual game modes to play can lose one of the every into a permanent.
I don't know about this, bro. I don't know about this. The reason I don't know about this is because theoretically speaking, it could be good to bring in some casual players, maybe. But realistically speaking, if you put all of these modes available, you are fragmenting the player base even more. And that's the reason why these are limited time modes and they're not permanent. Because I'm sure if they could, they would put all of this shit permanently available. And it is, to be fair, it is through private matches. But the reason they don't do that, it's because it would just fragment the player base too much. And it's not Fortnite. Fortnite gets to do that because they have like millions of players. And they managed to do that. How many players does it have right now? 1,187,000. It has dropped a lot, dude. It has dropped a lot. like in comparison. Yeah. But look at the difference here. Just for fun, 240,000 PvP, 199,000. Yeah, bro. It's dropped significantly. Like, when was this? Last year, November? Probably some patch or something, or new season or whatever. But still, this is enough. Like, if you think about it, the selected numbers here are the typical concurrent player base for the finals, right? It wouldn't even need to be the whole number. Honestly, it wouldn't even need to be 200,000. It could be just like 50,000, 30 to 50,000. They could probably do something like that where they have all the limited time modes available permanently through their matchmaking systems rather than through private matches. But when this is typically the concurrent player base during peak hours, it's pretty fucking difficult. It's pretty difficult. Also, just a little bit of a brag here. When these numbers were reached, I was doing support for Fortnite. So, yeah, bro. I don't know why that's a flex. I had nothing to do with it. But I was there. Anyways.
Permanent arcade playlist for players to enjoy. Because not only can you keep every single casual style game mode that everybody already knows and loves, but it also solves one of the major problems that I discussed in my Is the Finals Too Competitive video, where I said in no uncertain terms that offering newer players an array of casual game modes to play can lead to newer players staying in the game far longer than without it.
Yeah, in
Because only
theory is
structuring
good,
your
but
game around competitive play not only
realistically, it's not
isolates a
going to
whole
work.
separate audience, but actually abandons the majority of players in the gaming sphere as a whole. So actively opening the door to that audience not only gives competitive players an opportunity to relax, but also gives casual players an opportunity to learn the game and actively stay longer to enjoy the competitive side as well, creating a healthy cycle of play that benefits the finals as a whole. And the best part is, if you also make those modes open to applying fully customizable outfits, then you also allow the way for casual players to spend money on your game, making it easier to add new things, take more risks, and keep servers alive. But again, out of the sea of responses, gripes, and suggestions that Embark has probably heard 1,000 times over, that's just my opinion. And even if Embark decides to push the other two options we discussed to the wayside, all I can say is that in the event that they see this video, I hope that they deeply consider that last option. Because when it comes to moving forward, I genuinely think that third and final option is a very strong start in the right direction for this game. Because in doing so, it gives them the proper time to rebuild the earnings, trust, and support from the dedicated community they built from this amazing game. And who knows,
Just the numbers, dude.
maybe over time we'll see more of those fundamental changes get added and changed. But I guess the only thing we can really do now is wait and see what happens next. But of course, with that being said, I want to pass the question on to y'all. What do you think is holding the finals back? What things would you implement? And to end on a positive note, go ahead and comment down below how y'all's day is going, because you know I care about you too. And with that, when it comes to the finals,
I know it wasn't subbed. I was subbing lately, but like, but yeah, bro. Basically, I think that I agree up to the point where he's pointing out the skill-based matchmaking and the permanent limited time modes. With that, I disagree. Just because skill-based matchmaking is not foolproof, you know what I mean? Like I said, if you're like slightly good and you have any like inherent understanding of how games work and how shooters work and stuff, you have very much so the chance of just like being jumped into skill levels that are not good for you, and then like you're just gonna suffer once you get to those. And the cause of that is going to be skill-based matchmaking. With the permanent limited time modes, as I said, you know, you're fragmenting the player base too much, and they don't want to do this because the more you fragment the player base, the longer the queues get. And then so Gash Out is going to have longer queues, Point Break is going to have longer queues, Power Shift is going to have longer queues, Team Deathmatch is going to have longer queues. So it's difficult to do, because I'm sure like they would love to have this shit like available at all times and stuff, but it's one of the difficulties of these games and whatnot. So, you know, but hopefully at some point they figure out some way of coming back to a healthy like level for them. My honest opinion is just for new players, a specific queue until they get to a certain level, and then they should have a basic understanding of the game, good enough that they could go against other players that are a bit more skilled. They're going to still suffer from smurfs, but hey, it is what it is. So, yeah. Oops. Oh. How is this happening? Okay, dude. There we go. See something else here. Dude, YouTube is so trash nowadays. It's fucking crazy, bro. It's so crazy. Like, the amount of repetition of videos in rows, it's crazy, dude. Crazy. One, two. Two videos within like 4 rows. Like the same video. At the same time, you still have a lot of people making videos saying how good the finals is. It's just that, you know what I mean? It's good that they're having fun, But will they continue to have fun after a few months? You know what I mean? But that's the main problem here. Video here of Unranked to Ruby Season 9. These are probably the people that are smurfing to do these videos and shit, and it's like... I can understand the... getting the bread, but... at the same time, it's like... is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? The effort and everything? I'm looking for something to watch here, but typically when I'm just by myself, there's a lot of stuff that I just click and watch without too much thought into it. But you know, I'm live right now, I'm not gonna watch just whatever. Look for something that might be relevant. Oh, since we're listening to Mick Gordon, I'm excited for the new game. Defect. Which he's doing the soundtrack for. And the gameplay trailer and the trailer itself looked pretty good. So I'm excited for that one. So much repetition. So much repetition here. It's crazy, dude. Another one. This one's probably using a main account. Yeah, this might have been done before Overwatch, but I feel like Overwatch really got a lot of people to do this shit, like unranked to top rank or whatever the fuck, and it's like, dude, the amount of games you ruin for people just to do that is actually crazy. And there's another issue with the finals, which is there's a lot of content creators, but I feel like there is no support, like, or I don't really know, like, I'm not too into it and shit, but I feel like they could do more for the creators. Yes, they have the drops and all that stuff and whatever, but I don't know, man. I feel like they should do a little bit more. Get something else going. Like, help the creators, like, grow, as well as grow themselves, because now they might have creators with bigger audiences, and then it's a snowball, right? So the bigger their creators, like their creators specific, like people who specifically play the finals, the bigger they are, the more eyes are on the finals. Like, I haven't seen, I guess you have PHL, but like, I don't know, man. Like, there could be like another Twitch rivals for the finals, stuff like that, dude. I don't know. Then again, I don't know how much money you need for that shit. Like, if it's pretty expensive, if it's like just whatever, but something needs to happen. Something definitely needs to happen. Again, more repetition, bro. I am using a plugin on Firefox to basically keep the thumbnails as they used to be, because then YouTube like updated itself or whatever. For the thumbnails, they went from like being sort of, you know, you could have like 5 or 6 videos in one single row, and then you start having like 2 or 3 depending on the resolution of your monitor. And I'm using a plugin to basically leave it as it used to be and get rid of the shorts and all that stuff. I think this might be affecting the videos, because they're being repeated a lot. Like, there's a lot of repetition here. Alright, dude, sure. I really like this channel. This is, you know, rough stuff, but let's take it in here.
Roller coaster decapitation. Six Flags is an amusement park company that operates many theme and water parks around the US. Georgia is home to one of these locations and receives millions of visitors each year.
Already.
What many of these visitors don't realize, however, is that one of the rides has led to 2 different people losing their lives in the most brutal way possible. The more notable of these incidents happened on the 28th of June 2008. The day started off completely normal, but that changed at 1:50 p.m. when park authorities discovered the remains of a young man under the Batman-themed ride. These remains belonged to 17-year-old Isaiah Ferguson. He was visiting the park with his family and a group from his local church. According to witnesses, Isaiah and another boy ignored the many danger signs under the coaster and entered the restricted zone by scaling the 2 6-foot-high fences surrounding it. It's possible they thought they'd be safe as long as they were under the rails and not climbing on anything, which would have been the case for most normal coasters. Unfortunately for them, the Batman-themed ride featured an inverted design, where the seats were suspended beneath the track rather than mounted on a car above it. The ride was also running at the time, and it did not end well for Isaiah. I saw a man run from the building towards the fence. He jumped the fence and ran under the ride. He was hit by the ride or a person on the ride and fell forward. He didn't get up. You heard a big pop and he just laid there. The ride was going at over 50 miles per hour or roughly 80 kilometers per hour when the leg of one of the passengers made contact with Isaiah's head, decapitating him instantly.
Damn,
the rider somehow was fortunately unharmed. As it turned out, this was not the first incident involving the Batman.
I mean, it's not the dude's fault, right? He's just literally taking a ride and shit. So it's not his fault. But imagine the trauma of knowing you just like kicked a person's hat off. Holy fuck, dude. And it's, you know, again, it's not even his fault, man. He's just riding the thing.
Right. 6 years earlier, on May 26, 2002, a 58-year-old park employee lost his life in the exact same way.
Hold on. I need to change earbuds. Connect, please. Thank you.
When he was struck by the leg of a 14-year-old girl. Again, the rider was able to recover without any permanent injuries. A later investigation also cleared the park of any negligence. Inspectors found plenty of warnings and physical barriers in place to prevent anyone from simply wandering into the danger zone. As for why Isaiah chose to ignore those warnings and climb the fence, that remains unclear to this day. Police received some conflicting reports, with some claiming that he was trying to retrieve a hat he had lost on the ride earlier, while others said he was attempting to touch the coaster or grab a rider's foot as a dare. But none of these reports were ever confirmed. And since the park wasn't found guilty of any wrongdoing, the Batman ride was allowed to reopen just a few days after the incident, and it's still operational to this day. Though now with a lot more warning signs and barbed wire over the fences to prevent any more similar tragedies.
Yeah, it's probably not good for them.
Murder of Oki Al-Qaid. On May 24, 2004, employees at an engineering consulting firm in Denver, Colorado noticed that the project manager, 53-year-old Oki Al-Qaid, was absent. This was completely out of character for Al, as he rarely ever took a day off. Even when he did, he made sure to inform his colleagues beforehand to avoid any issues. So people from the office tried calling him on the phone, but despite multiple attempts, Al didn't answer.
I might have seen this.
Worried for his safety, people at the office contacted his emergency contact, which belonged to his sister. Unfortunately, the sister lived too far away to check on Al herself, so she dialed 911 and requested a welfare check instead, desperately hoping that her brother was okay. She knew something was wrong, since it wasn't like her brother to ghost everyone out of nowhere. But nothing could have prepared her for the gruesome fate Al had met in his own home just days earlier. When officers arrived at the house in Aurora, Colorado, they discovered that it was spotless, almost as if someone had recently given it a thorough cleaning. But there were no signs of Al himself. That is, until they went down to the basement and discovered one of the most horrific sights ever documented. The basement contained the bloody remains of Oki Al-Qaid with numerous nightmarish injuries. Later reports confirmed that he had over 20 stab wounds across his body, but this was only the very beginning. According to the investigation, Al had likely been brutally tortured by the killer leading up to his death. The details of the crime scene were so horrific that they were never fully released to the public. Whoever did this to Al spent hours upon hours inflicting pain before taking his life. This alone was enough to make it one of the most disturbing cases in Aurora's history. But the deeper investigators looked into it, the more unsettling it became. And at the center of it all was a mysterious man named Robert Cooper. His name first came up when talking to Al's girlfriend Linda, who was out of state at the time. She revealed that Al had told her about renting out his basement to a guy named Robert Cooper. She had actually seen the guy a few days earlier when Al was giving him a tour of the place. But as soon as Robert saw Linda, he left without even looking at her. He was likely trying to avoid leaving any witnesses. Fortunately, Linda was able to see enough of his face to help detectives put together a crude sketch. She also revealed that he had a cane and was walking with a limp. A quick search of Al's home revealed a document in his kitchen dustbin with all of Robert's information on it.
Pretty sure
as it
I've
turned
heard
out,
of this
all of this
or
was
seen
completely
this.
fake. Another factor that complicated the case was the sheer lack of a motive. Investigators initially assumed that it was a
What was
wreck with
fake?
information on it, but as it turned out, all of this was completely fake. Another factor that complicated the case was the sheer lack of a motive. Investigators initially assumed that it was a robbery gone wrong since Al's truck, phone, and wallet were missing.
Portrait was fake?
However, the truck was found just a couple of blocks from his home the very next day. And while the suspect did use Al's bank card, he only withdrew $1,000, far below the amount of money Al
some
had
other
in his
information
account.
was fake.
Pictures from the ATM camera showed him wearing a ski mask and gloves to completely hide his
Yes, I have
identity.
seen this.
Robert had also given $750 in cash to Al just a day
I've seen
earlier
this.
for a
Wasn't this the dude who grabbed his truck from work or from his company? And like, I think this is all like gear for work or some shit like that. I think it is, if I'm not mistaken. I think I saw this in either like one of those body cam channels or one of those interrogation channels.
security deposit and first month's rent.
I think.
So, committing such a horrific crime for the difference of $250 didn't make much sense. Investigators later concluded that withdrawing this money was likely his way of taunting the police by leaving clues that he knew would ultimately do nothing for the police. By this point, it was clear that investigators were dealing with a highly prepared killer who had taken every precaution to conceal his identity. Even when officers tracked down the phone he used to contact Al, it turned out to be a burner phone. Not only that, but Robert had bought it with cash from a local convenience store and waited 30 days to activate it, knowing that most stores erased old CCTV footage after a month. Analysis of his phone revealed that he had also contacted several other landlords before Al. He likely went after Al because he knew Al lived alone. However, talking to those other landlords complicated things further, since many of them described characteristics that were the complete opposite of Linda's account, like many claiming that he didn't have a cane and walked normally. Some also claimed that he was much younger than Linda had described. At the end of the day, investigators weren't able to find a single solid lead or motive pointing to Robert Cooper's real identity.
But they found him, right?
They even found a drop of blood on the basement stairs, but the DNA sample
Is
didn't
it a
match
different
any
case
existing
that I'm thinking
records,
about?
leaving the question of why Al Qaeda was targeted and killed in such a horrific way as an unsolved mystery to this day.
He wasn't.
Human meat
The guy
killer.
wasn't caught.
On December 15, 1996, a man in Baltimore, Maryland walked into the local police
Could be a
station
different
with a
thing,
grim
then.
confession. According to this man, one of his friends had asked him to help dispose of a woman's remains. And while this sounded a bit absurd at first, officers decided to accompany him to the location. And to their surprise, the man wasn't lying. Deep inside a wooden pallet factory, police discovered the remains of 23-year-old Kimberly Lynn Spicer, who had been missing since November of that year. There was still a possibility that the man who went to the police was trying to frame his friend for a crime he committed. However, any doubt officers had in him vanished as soon as he named his friend, 41-year-old Joe Matheny. Those who knew Joe personally described him as kind and compassionate, but to the police, he couldn't have been more different. You see, Joe was actually arrested back in August 1995 for allegedly taking the lives of two
Butcher.
homeless men. However, the case was thrown out in July 1996 due to insufficient evidence. More importantly, the police were already investigating Joe for an incident that had occurred just a week earlier on December 8. That night, a woman named Rita Kemper accused him of kidnapping and attempted murder, allegedly threatening her by saying, "I'm going to kill you and bury you in the woods with the other girls." So, the police had every reason to suspect that Joe was responsible for Kimberly's death as well. They arrested him the same day and charged him with murder. But Joe's crimes would turn out to be far more horrific. While in custody, Joe confessed to taking the lives of more than 10 victims, including the two homeless men he was charged with earlier. He also showed zero remorse, stating that he killed because he, quote, enjoyed it. Further adding, "I got a rush out of it, got a high out of it, call it what you want. I had no real excuse why other than I like to do it." That said, when investigators went searching for the remains of these victims, most of them were missing from where Joe claimed they were. And while this was never confirmed in court, there was an extremely horrific explanation for those missing remains. Put simply, while behind bars, Joe confessed to processing his victims' remains and feeding them to ordinary people back when he was operating a grilled meat
Yeah, I've
stand.
seen this as well.
He wrote, "The human body tastes very similar to pork. If you mix it together, no one can tell the difference. So, the next time you're riding down the road and you happen to see an open pit beef stand that you've never seen before, make sure you think about this story before you take a bite of that sandwich." He stood trial multiple times in 1997 and 1998 and was initially given the death penalty. But this decision was later overturned and he was resentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. He remained in prison until his death on August 5th, 2017. Heart attack caught on camera. Alain Bruno started on YouTube with random vlogs, skits, and lifestyle videos back in 2012. These videos didn't gain much attention, but he kept posting semi-regularly for the next couple of years, unaware that one day he would record the worst incident of his life on camera. It happened somewhere near the end of May 2015. Alain was recording another one of his videos, when suddenly he started feeling an uncomfortable pain around his chest and shoulders. What Alain didn't know at the time was that he was having a heart attack, and it was—
That's fucking crazy, dude. That is crazy. Like, this guy's fit as fuck, probably eats healthy, you know what I mean? Probably doesn't smoke, probably doesn't drink much. And like, I'm sitting here like a pig, fat. Like, I drink like a I drink like the world's about to end and shit. And I don't know, man, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy. I don't want that shit. I'm gonna be honest, I don't want none of that. Don't want none of that. But you know, it's crazy how life is for, like, unfair for some people, you know, like you live a healthy lifestyle and shit. Like, I've heard of stories of people with an incredibly healthy lifestyle and they're like exercising or something and they just fall with something in their heart or something. That's nuts, bro.
It's getting worse as time went on. Soon he was struggling to breathe and was constantly rubbing his chest and shoulders to alleviate pain, but none of it was working. The pain kept getting worse and worse, resulting in him nearly passing out and drowning in his bathtub at one point.
That's crazy, dude. It's like, if you don't have anybody,
he eventually summoned
to,
enough
like,
strength to get out of the tub, only to nearly pass out on the bathroom floor seconds later. What made this situation even worse was that he was completely alone in the house. Left alone, he would have more than likely passed away before anyone noticed. But in what was nothing short seconds later, what made this situation even worse was that he was completely alone in the house. Left alone, he would have more than likely passed away before anyone noticed. But in what was nothing short of a miracle, his roommate came home early that day and immediately called 911. Alain was rushed to the hospital where he managed to survive and is still posting videos to this day. However, while Alain was able to recover after experiencing a heart attack, nearly 20 million people lose this battle every year. And therein lies the true horror of heart attacks. One minute you're living your life, maybe filming a video or laughing at a joke, and the next your heart stalls. You feel this heavy, crushing weight on your chest, pressing your lungs, and there is absolutely nothing you can do to get it off. It's the result of your heart muscle literally suffocating because it's being starved of oxygen-rich blood. As the minutes tick by, the sensation radiates through the rest of your upper body. Your lungs
what causes that? What causes that? It's like from eating certain foods and shit, isn't it? It's like, I know people eat like a lot of burgers and fast food and stuff like that, like they clog their arteries and stuff, and it can cause heart attacks. Some crazy shit, bro. Some crazy shit, dude.
As the minutes tick by, the sensation radiates through the rest of your upper body. Your lungs feel heavy, and no matter how deep you gasp, the air feels thin and useless. But the pain isn't even the worst part. It's the sheer dread and the impending sense of doom that survivors often describe as the most terrifying part of their experience. Your brain knows you are about to die,
and it's completely internal.
And unlike many other deadly conditions that you can predict or counteract, a heart attack.
Like, if you're one of those people who are like, I'll just brush it off. You know what I mean? You don't ask for help or something. Like, unless you fall down or pass out or something, like you're just gonna try to like push through it. That's crazy.
Attack can happen at any time, often without warning, even in people who are otherwise healthy. And while modern medicine is quite effective at reducing the lethality of heart attacks, there's never a full guarantee treatment will arrive in time. Serial killer nurse. In early 2003, the staff at the Somerset Medical Center in Somerville, New Jersey noticed a few abnormalities with a couple of their patients, like a Catholic priest named Florian Gall who passed away completely out of nowhere. And when tested, staff found toxic levels of digoxin in his system, even though digoxin was never prescribed to him. Around the same time, another patient showed a sudden and unexplainable insulin spike and nearly lost their life. These and other similar incidents kickstarted an investigation, and nearly all of them linked back to the same man, 43-year-old Charles Cullen. The incidents weren't the exact same, but they all shared Charles as the common factor. In each case, the patient either mysteriously died or their condition became a lot worse after Charles spent a shift with them. This didn't make much sense at first. Charles had been a nurse for over 16 years and had a spotless record so far. However, the deeper investigators looked, the more suspicious his actions became. They found records of him requesting digoxin from the digital medicine dispensing machine and then canceling the request right after. But while the record never showed him taking the medicine out, doses of digoxin were still missing from the machine. There was simply too much circumstantial evidence against Charles for it to all be a massive coincidence. Unfortunately, none of this circumstantial evidence was solid enough to guarantee conviction. There was no CCTV footage or any other direct proof of his crimes. The only option now was to get him to confess. Luckily, investigators were able to convince one of his friends, another nurse named Amy Lochran, to wear a wire and coax a confession out of him. This worked better than investigators could have guessed. She invited him to lunch on December 12, 2003, and after some persuasion, got him to admit to intentionally killing his patients. This was enough for officers to arrest him on the spot and bring him in for questioning. He tried to stay quiet at first, but eventually admitted to taking the lives of 29 different patients during his time as a nurse. Though, according to some estimates, this number could be as high as 400. Charles would strategically choose night shifts with fewer prying eyes and opt to take care of victims who were less likely to survive. He would then either enter the code for some other medicine in the same...
I cannot, fathom what goes through your mind to do something like this. I cannot understand it. What do you gain out of it? You know what I mean? Most of these people are older. They're just trying to grasp onto the little amount of life they have left and shit. And I don't understand what the fuck goes on in these fuckers' brains to do something like this.
Same drawer as digoxin, or cancel the request but then shake the machine open to steal the drug. He chose digoxin because it messed with the heart's rhythm in high doses, resulting in the victim dying of a natural-looking cause. He also knew that autopsies rarely tested for digoxin, reducing his risk of getting caught even further. However, the most disturbing part of the case is that his crimes were uncovered multiple times over the years. When the hospitals he worked at found out what he was doing, they didn't want to ruin their own reputation by launching a criminal investigation, so they simply fired him instead. This allowed him to work at 10 different hospitals and claim the lives of countless victims. When asked why he did it, Charles claimed that he wanted to relieve people of their suffering, even though most of his victims were either in stable conditions or died painful deaths because of his actions. Thankfully, he was caught in 2003.
Because if you're letting him do it, if
in
you're
March 2006,
not
and was sentenced to 18
consecutive
life sentences, ensuring that he spends the rest of his life behind
bars. That's on you as well. You know, what kind of reputation? It's the guy doing it. Reputation as in your security is not good enough. What? I don't understand. Why would you not report such a situation? As a medical facility, as a medical institution, you got to be some big pieces of shit that you don't report this kind of stuff. just because, oh, my reputation. Like, you could have saved lives by preventing this guy from ever operating again, but instead you chose to just let him go. What a fucked world.
The 2019 escape room incident. On January 4, 2019, a group of 5 15-year-old girls in Poland got together to celebrate one of their birthdays. They had decided to spend the afternoon at a local escape room. Escape rooms, for those who don't know, are an interactive group activity. The premise is to get locked in a small themed room, solve a series of puzzles, and find the key to escape before the timer runs out. When done correctly, it's a largely harmless activity with virtually no risk of injury. However, not every escape room is set up with safety in mind, which was also the case for the escape room the girls chose for their celebration. It was hosted in an old residential building that was later converted into an escape room business without proper modifications. Mainly, the rooms lacked a proper fire exit. The only way out was through the front door, which was left locked until they solved the puzzle to escape. Even the window was boarded up for decoration, making it completely inaccessible. The entire building was also being heated with a gas heater powered by portable cylinders, with the door to the escape room located right next to the heater. And while this setup had worked without any issues for dozens of attempts before, the same did not happen on the 4th of January. The girls arrived at the location around 4 p.m. and were locked inside the room not long after. At around 5 p.m., the only employee on duty noticed a whoop.
Was there no supervision? Like, no individual checking? If you're going to have an establishment that is to host people, right? Like, is there just no checking of anything? Make sure everything is safe and stuff? Like, what the hell, dude? What the hell? That's some crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
Whooshing sound coming from the heater. He tried to check for any leaks and fix them before things got out of hand. Unfortunately, as soon as he moved the cylinder, the leaking pipe caught fire and engulfed the entire wall immediately. He tried to reach the girl's door to unlock it, but the fire was already too intense. He suffered severe burns and was forced to retreat, cutting off the only evacuation route and leaving the girls entirely trapped. Inside the room, the teenagers were likely unaware of the danger at first, but soon, thick, toxic smoke began seeping through the cracks of the door. The temperature spiked and turned the room into a literal furnace. The girls were confined to a tiny, locked space and were entirely dependent on someone on the outside to let them out. Even if they had a way out, the thick smoke made it impossible to breathe, let alone open their eyes and find their way out. All they could do now was wait to be rescued, while the chance of them experiencing an unimaginable death increased with every second. One of the girls managed to call her father during the chaos, but the only words that came out of her mouth were "Dad, fire," before the line cut off. By the time firefighters extinguished the blaze and forced their way into the room, it was already too late. All 5 teenagers passed away, turning a harmless birthday outing into an unimaginable tragedy.
That's crazy, bro.
Rabies. Few diseases in the world are more
that was the new one. I never
rabies,
heard of that one.
Mainly because once its symptoms appear, death is almost inevitable. However, that is far from the most disturbing aspect of the virus. The true horror of rabies lies in what it does to the human body before claiming a life. It starts with a bite from a stray dog, a raccoon, or even a minor scratch from a bat.
This shit's scary,
after
bro.
entering the body, the rabies virus starts traveling up.
Like, forget demons, forget ghosts, forget whatever. Like, this is the real scary shit. Getting rabies. Because you could just very well be walking down the street and there's this dog that doesn't seem to be aggressive or anything, but all of a sudden just gets your leg with a bite. And, you know, it hurts and stuff, but you just brush it off and shit, you know. Dog probably got spooked by something or whatever and just acted impulsively. And you go home and you don't even expect it, and boom, you got rabies. And if you don't treat it in time, which I believe the window to actually get like a cure for that shit, it's super, super small. And once it like travels through the body and shit, you're done, dude. You're done. He's probably gonna show the guy trying to drink water and stuff like that's some spooky shit, dude. That is some spooky shit. This is the real horror right here. I don't know if there's a game like this, or maybe someone could make a game where like you catch rabies and you go through the process of catching rabies. It's gonna require some research stuff, but maybe it could be interesting. I know there's been video games for like experimenting blindness and all that kind of stuff. Could be an interesting experience, I guess.
The nervous system towards the brain, and until it reaches its
Raise
target,
awareness.
the virus is almost invisible to the body. It doesn't trigger a massive immune response or cause immediate sickness. Even the original bite usually heals without any complications. This lack of immediate symptoms can deceive people into thinking that they're safe. By the time they realize they're infected, they're already too far gone. Because once the virus finally reaches the brain, it begins replicating itself quickly and starts spreading through the nervous system. And that's when the symptoms begin. Even then, it can start off fairly tame with symptoms like a low fever, a headache, and general fatigue, the same signs as the common flu. But before long, the virus begins actively destroying brain tissue, resulting in severe paranoia, confusion, and uncontrollable aggression. Victims become incredibly restless and begin suffering from insomnia and violent outbursts. Then comes the most horrific symptom of the disease, hydrophobia. You see, the virus spreads through saliva, so it increases the production of saliva. And to ensure that this saliva stays in the mouth, it makes the host extremely hydrophobic. It causes severe, agonizing spasms in the throat and larynx. These spasms are so violent that they're triggered by the mere thought, sight, or sound of water. You need water to survive, but the second you try to take a sip or even swallow your own saliva, your throat muscles violently contract, inducing a sensation identical to suffocating. Worst of all, this state of panic and aggression only gets worse as the virus progresses, until the human body can't take it anymore and shuts down completely. Now, modern medicine does have a highly effective vaccine. If you receive a series of shots immediately after a suspected bite, your chances of survival are nearly perfect. But the vaccine only works if administered before the virus reaches your brain. If you wait and even a single minor symptom appears, the mortality rate jumps to virtually 100%. There is no cure at this point. There is no last-minute medical save, resulting in 70,000 people falling victim to rabies every year. Because once the first headache starts, you are already dead. Arby's walk-in freezer
Crazy
death.
shit, dude.
On the morning of May 11, 2023, 63-year-old llll was opening for an Arby's located in New Iberia, Louisiana. She arrived at the location at around 9 a.m. to prep for business before the 10 a.m. opening. This was a part of her daily routine as the manager and something she had done hundreds of times before. And today was supposed to be no different. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. Sometime after arriving at the location, llll went inside the restaurant's massive walk-in freezer to retrieve some ingredients. But when she turned around to walk the restaurant...
What are those? Are those the ventilation or is that those speakers? It's probably like fans or something. It's a lot like speakers though.
The restaurant's massive walk-in freezer to retrieve some ingredients. But when she turned around to walk out, the door slammed shut, leaving her stuck in -10 degrees Fahrenheit. This was colder than many parts of the Antarctic, and unlike people who live in extremely frigid environments, she wasn't dressed for the cold. It wasn't until 6 hours later that her own son, who also worked at the same restaurant, found her inside the freezer. She was frozen solid on the freezer's floor, curled up into a fetal position. Her hands were bloody from trying to pry her way out for what must have felt like hours before hypothermia set in and she eventually passed away. A later investigation of the freezer revealed that the emergency latch that's meant to open the door from the inside was broken. She had also been working as the manager of an Arby's in Houston, Texas for several years, but was assigned a temporary position at the Louisiana location in February. So there's a good chance she didn't even know about the malfunctioning latch. These industrial walk-in freezers also have extremely thick walls, so no one could hear her cries for help either, leaving her to die alone in the dark, cold room. Sadly, llll's case is only one of 60 similar cases that happen every year.
I cannot imagine that shit, dude. I cannot imagine that shit. So, I think this was this was January, yes, because December we only went to the office for like the first week or first 2 weeks. So this was January. And in January, like, the weather was getting pretty cold and snowing and stuff. And there was one day that I went to the office. I think it was like one of the first weeks of January or something. And I went to the office, and in the morning, it's all good, whatever. You know, pretty cold, but I had like my beanie, I had a neck gaiter, a jacket, I think a hoodie under the jacket, a t-shirt under the hoodie, pair of pants, boots. It was all right. But then coming back home, I have to, like, I only have one bus stop like over there, and to come back home I have to walk like 1 kilometers, 200, 300 meters, something like that. And I decided to take a different route this time, because there is a gym, and I wanted to try out the route where I can basically walk directly to the turn where the gym is, and then go to that gym instead of doing like a crazy walk around the neighborhood and stuff. So I took that route, and it was windy, and it was like -2 or -3, which I know it's not crazy for a lot of people that live in like cold countries or cold conditions or something. -2 or 3 Celsius, not Fahrenheit. And it was, but it's just like, if it wasn't windy, maybe it was okay. But because it was windy, like the wind was like making my legs cold as hell, like really, really, really cold. And I had like thin pants. It wasn't like thick winter pants. They were like thin, like cotton pants. So it like the pants were getting really cold. My legs were getting really cold. And that was not like, and also, you know, I had the neck gaiter and stuff, but everything from the beanie to the to the top of the neck gaiter was like getting cold as shit. And it's like, dude, holy shit. Now imagine being in that position of that lady where your whole body is going through the same shit and you cannot do anything, dude. It's like, holy moly.
Where people get stuck inside a walk-in freezer, and by the time someone notices, it's already too late.
I cannot imagine.
From the moment they become trapped until their final breath, people experience what can only be described as pure torture. It starts with their body quickly losing heat due to the extreme cold temperature. The frigid air makes it painful to breathe, and even the thin liquid layer on the eyes starts to freeze. This is followed by hypothermia, during which the body constricts blood vessels, raises the heart rate, and begins to shiver uncontrollably to generate heat. The lack of blood flow to the extremities can also lead to frostbite on fingers and toes, as the cells in those regions begin to die out. Near the final stages of hypothermia, the brain starts to malfunction, causing hallucinations, delirium, and extreme dizziness.
YouTube doesn't like frostbites.
By this point, the chances of survival are nearly zero, as the person begins to lose their sense of self before eventually passing away.
It's just black fingers.
The Gollum Cave Incident. On the morning of August 17, 2005, 5 students from Brigham Young University decided to explore a relatively unknown cave on the nearby Y Mountain in Utah. The small cave was called Gollum's Cave, but it also had a second name, as those who knew about it called it the Cave of Death. Confident in their knowledge of the cave's interior and their ability to navigate it, the 5 students decided to visit it anyway. Blake Donner, Ariel Singer, Scott McDonald, and Jennifer Galbraith arrived at the cave's entrance at around 4:30 a.m. and made preparations to go in. The 5th friend, Joseph Ferguson, decided at the last second not to join them and stayed outside. The others started to make their way in, one after the other, and just a few minutes later vanished completely into the cave. An important thing to note about Gollum's Cave is that it was only 100 feet, or about 30 meters in length, so the trip to its end and back should have taken 20 to 30 minutes at most. But over an hour had passed, and none of the four had returned. Worried about their safety, Joseph dialed 911 and told them about the situation. And it wasn't long before police and rescue officers were there, thinking up the best way to reach the four who were inside. Because the primary section of the Golem cave ended with a small water-filled hole, which then led to an air pocket further inside the cave. The tunnel leading to the air pocket was too narrow to turn around, forcing anyone inside to reach the very end before returning. Something the rescuers couldn't do with their equipment, like oxygen tanks. So instead of going in and possibly getting stuck, they decided to use an air pump to fill the cave with fresh air while also removing water. This not only supplied those stuck inside with fresh air, but also made the rescue mission much easier. What none of the rescuers knew was that it was already too late. Unfortunately, by the time rescuers reached the entrance to the underwater section, all four students were already dead. The question now was how. After removing the remains from the cave, rescuers returned to the air pocket at the very end to test the air quality. As they had feared, oxygen levels were critically low inside the air pocket. They weren't bad enough to prevent the four from breathing completely, but it was a big enough difference to impair their reasoning. This also made it difficult to hold their breath while trying to return, causing all four to become trapped in the short underwater section and drown before help could arrive. Asiana Airlines Flight 2...
Man, humans sometimes have the dumbest fucking ideas. Like, I get the sense of adventure and the adrenaline and stuff of exploring and whatever, but it's like, dude, if you're not prepared, you know what I mean? If you're not prepared, don't do stupid shit. Like, preserve your life, dude. Preserve your life, you know? Just like, and if you want to do it anyways, you know, you want to go for it anyways, make sure you're prepared, like properly prepared. Where that means, you know, equipment, making sure you warn someone, like some emergency services or whatever. Hey guys, or maybe the emergency services are just going to tell you like, no. Then I could understand. I could understand that, but make sure you're prepared, dude. Make sure you're prepared. Especially for like dangerous shit. It's not like this was called like Cave of Wonderfulness and Cotton Candy. It was literally called Cave of Death. Like, you know what I mean?
1-4 disaster. On the 6th of July 2013, Asiana Airlines Flight 214 was set to arrive at the San Francisco International Airport at around 11:30 a.m. The Boeing 777 plane had taken off from the Incheon International Airport near Seoul, South Korea about 10 hours earlier, and other than a 30-minute delay due to weather, the flight had gone exactly as planned. But this would change as they were about to land. As the plane approached the runway, it was 2,000 feet lower than it should have been. By the time the pilots realized their mistake, the plane was already too close to the ground. They tried to course correct at the last second, but that only made things worse. The plane crashed into the seawall, losing its tail and left engine in the process. The main body of the plane slid across the runway at extreme speeds before catching fire due to the jet fuel that was now spilling everywhere. Fortunately, with the crash happening near the airport, rescue workers were able to reach the scene in seconds. Of the 307 people on board, 187 were injured by the impact or the fire, and 3 lost their lives. However, among everyone on that plane, no one suffered a fate more tragic than 16-year-old Ye Mengyan. Ye wasn't wearing her seatbelt when the crash happened, resulting in her getting ejected onto the runway. She was severely injured, but according to the autopsy reports, she was still alive. She had survived such a violent event against all odds. There was a strong chance of her pulling through and recovering if she had received immediate medical attention. It's unclear if she was conscious at the time, but if she was, seeing rescuers arrive just seconds after the crash would have been a tremendous relief. However, the very people meant to save her life would end up taking it instead. Not long after the crash, Ye was tragically run over by 2 separate fire trucks as they maneuvered around the wreckage to extinguish the fires. Footage from the incident showed a firefighter directing the trucks away from Ye. Unfortunately, in the chaos of the rescue, no one thought to check her vitals and assumed that she had already passed away.
Whoa, stop. There's a body right... There's a body right there, right in front of you.
This led to rescuers ignoring her and focusing on the fire and the other victims. One of the fire trucks also ended up covering her with fire-resistant foam, making her even harder to spot, which ultimately led to 2 different drivers failing to see her on the ground and running her over, removing any chance she had of surviving the crash.
Holy shit, dude. Man. Ooh. Ooh. That is heavy shit, bro. God damn. Imagine you survive some like crazy painful shit. You're on the ground, face down, probably in severe pain, but you're still like, you know, alive. And the people that are meant to save you are the ones to end your life. That's fucking crazy, dude. That is crazy, bro. Holy shit. All right, man. Anyways, I'm gonna call it quits here. I'm gonna chill a little bit. Tomorrow is Saturday, so if the weather is good by midday or 1 p.m. or something like that, I'm probably gonna go for a little bit of a walk around the city, get some sun, and stretch my legs a little bit and stuff. But when I return home, depending on when I leave, I'm probably gonna do some. I'm thinking about doing some like editing work, and then I'm probably gonna like stream again. So yeah, the good thing now is that I have the light. I have the light, so I don't have to like. Because what I used to do before was to have the camera on. I had to stream for like a moment when there is sun outside and it's illuminating the apartment decently enough that I can have the camera on. Now with the light, I just don't really. I can do it whenever the hell I want, and it's all good. So, anyways, that's gonna be it from me. Thank you very much for anybody that dropped by. Appreciate it. Hit the follow button if you want to catch future live streams. I'm not going to get into marathon. I'm not going to spend 40 euros on something I don't think it's good. So yeah, probably going to keep going for the finals or something else. But yeah. Anywho, thank you very much. Have a great weekend. See you guys on the next one.